Thanks for tuning in to another show reflection. Hit the thumbs up button. After this show, make sure to go to the home tab so you can check out the new merchandise that's dropping at
Peace Reflections. You are over here with Torethia. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button if you haven't already, because we are here for another good show reflection. Okay, now you know I come through late night, early rising, just depends on how I'm feeling. Just depends on how I'm feeling. Okay, so with that being said, we are here to talk about some artists. One of your favorite groups reflection. They said who favorite group? Quit playing with me. Everybody love the Jackson 5. You don't like the Jackson 5 reflection. Don't make me break out in a song with you. Don't make what's my song? Oh, when Michael was singing that song, you would have thought he was grown and shit. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm gonna think of it in a second. I'm gonna sing it for y'all. I'm gonna sing it for y'all reflection. Listen. They said it's don't start there. Okay, well, I was just trying to get my vocals together because I thought y'all wanted me to. You get what I'm saying? Whatever though. Whatever. With that being said, the reflection, we are over here because it seemed like the Jackson 5, they said, what treated the Jackson 5? The sisters are coming out reflection. One of them sisters is coming out and she telling some shit. She telling some shit. Now, we not here to judge her. Because a lot of people, they was on her neck reflection. They was on that wig of her. They said, it's really, that was not a wig. They was on that, listen reflection, I'm trying to tell you, they was like, hold on, is you trying to go against the code? You going against honor, baby? Are you going against Michael? You trying to go against Michael? Well, she really wasn't even talking about Mike. She was talking about Joseph ass. She was talking about Lisa. She was talking about Joseph, not the manger, but she was definitely talking about Joseph reflection. Okay. Now, with that being said, this can be a trigger. This video could trigger some of the faves. If you a favorite fan of Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5, you get what I'm saying. Reflection, this shit could trigger you. So you may want to click off. You might want to come back on another video, but we gotta listen at what Latoya said now. We're not saying what she's saying is true, but we want that reflection. How we just gonna say what she's saying is true if it's not shit? We was not there. Some of us weren't even born when Latoya said this shit was going on. Reflection, listen. I'm just here to hear her story. I am here to hear your story, Latoya. Pop your shit. Okay, listen. So we're not gonna judge. We're not gonna judge because Some of these people that was finna tell Latoya your head off out here talking about Joseph, they was finna tell Latoya, they was finna get on a reflection. I said, oh my goodness, she ain't want nothing but listen, she little. She look like Terethia reflection. Y'all can't be jumping all over Latoya ass like that, cause she here to tell her damn story. Now, for all y'all don't know who Latoya is, I'm talking about Latoya Jackson. Now, she really didn't come out with no music or nothing like that that I know of. Reflection, you get what I'm saying? And some people was like, well, that's the reason why she coming out talking that shit, cause she wasn't famous like that. And other people was like, well, what the fuck do she need to be famous for? All the rest of them was famous. What do I gotta be famous for if everybody else in the family was famous, baby? Listen, I'm already a superstar. I'm already a superstar. Listen, I'm just here to tell my story. So with that being said, before we get into what Latoya was saying, we first got to take it to the top. We got to take it to the top to get to the drop reflection. We got to start. We got to start back when. We got to start at the beginning of the mustard seed. We finna go back to what's her name? What's her name? Rebby Buford. I said Rebby Buford. I meant Rebby Jackson. That's her name. I think it's Rebby Jackson. Rebby is here. They said who Terethia. Rebby is here to tell her story reflection. Okay. Now this is the older sister of the Jackson Five. This is the oldest sister of the Jackson Five. Okay. Now, with that being said, this is a very touchy situation. She is the oldest of all of the Jackson Fives. Reflect she older than Tito, Michael. Listen, all on reflection. She older than all they is. So she seen it all. She was there. If you the oldest of any family, then you know what I'm talking about. She played that next to the mother role. All right. When Catherine had shit to do, reflection, when she was out there, you get what I'm saying, doing whatever she was doing. Doing whatever she was doing, being a good wife and shit, reflection. Robbie, they said who is Rebby? I really think her name is Rebby. I'm gonna get it together in a second. She was the one who was handling everything. Reflection, okay? So let's hear her
2300
story.
Jackson Street in that little house. I was born in that house, the only one born in that house. We had 2 bedrooms in our home, and I and my sisters, Janet and Latoya, slept in the living room. We had a couch that led out into a bed. My brothers slept in one room, and that room had triple bunk beds, and they slept on the bunk beds. And then my parents slept in the other room. Tito and Jermaine slept in one bunk bed. Marlon and Michael slept in a bunk bed together that they shared. And then Jackie slept in one. And then, of course, when Randy came along, he shared it with Jackie. We slept in the living room, the girls did. And we had a couch that led out into a bed. And we shared the bed. Janet used to sleep literally on my stomach when she was born. When you live in an area such as the area that we came from, you really don't think about that. I mean, poor, that was a way of life. We had plenty of food to eat, and we had clothes, went to school. We were like all the other kids in the area. When Michael was first born, he was like all the other kids. The only difference that he had as he began to get older was that he was extremely mischievous, rambunctious. He would do little things to annoy you, or for example, when he would get in trouble, he'd run from my mom if she wanted to chastise him, and he'd run up under the bed and hang on to the springs, and they couldn't get him out. They, meaning my brothers, they tried, but they couldn't do it. So she'd just say, leave him alone, wait till later. He'll come out sooner or later. He used to always make funny faces. If everybody was down or whatever, he'd walk in the kitchen and buck his eyes or whatever, and do something really crazy to make you laugh. He was just fun. He would always do funny things, anything for a laugh, anything for a laugh. And I remember in particular one time when I was at my mom's house, Latoya was always very persnickety about the way she kept her room. She had this beautiful, I think it was a white satin bedspread that she had just gotten on her bed. And Michael had went to some kind of shop where you buy these little gadgets, tricks, and he took some invisible ink and he spread it all over the bedspread, squirted it all over, and then he had her to come in and look at it. She was livid. She got so upset. She didn't
Michael Jackson always gave me them shoe vibes. He did, reflection, always. He looked like he could have been into some shit as a child. He looked like what I said. He looked like that type reflection, like he could have got into a little piece of something. He could have stayed in a little piece of some shit. Reflection. Listen, okay. So this is the oldest sister right here, Rebby Jackson, and she's basically telling about her experience. Growing up, they didn't have a lot, but they had enough. Reflection. Okay, they had enough. They didn't go hungry, and they had clothes on their back and a roof over their head. So you get what I'm saying, reflection. But it was a lot of them in a two-bedroom. But at the same time, reflection, that was just the way of life. You get what I'm saying? And they made the best out of it. All right. So again, this is Ruby Jackson, and the reason why I'm playing her story first is so it'll all line up with what Latoya is finna say
She didn't know.
in
She
the
knew
end. Okay.
something had happened, and she knew probably it was him, and she thought it wouldn't come out, and she had a living fit. Crazy, 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 crazy around the house. Everything for a laugh, anything to make people have fun. My first time ever performing with the family, I was the last one, was when they had the family show. And they traveled all across the United States. And I did this song and dance routine with Marlon and Michael. I did the lead, and they accompanied me in the dance. And I was on stage dancing, doing my thing, and they, came in and accompanied me, and they were dancing around me in a circle. And they had me scared to death because they said, "Riri, don't look down, there's a roach crawling up your leg." And I started screaming right while I was performing. And he started laughing, crazy stuff like that. While you're on stage in front of an audience, this goes on. I remember Michael getting chastised with the rest of my brothers by my father. And he was very strict. He was a strong disciplinarian. And he did not play. And I'm sure he was afraid of that. I mean, he was always Michael that is, getting into trouble. So when he got into trouble, the next thing was the chastisement that would come after it. So yeah, I remember that very well. He didn't even have to take the strap out. All he'd have to do is look at you like this. Growing up, we were very close. I mean, all of us were close. And the thing I always think about, or think in terms of with my brother, is that as a kid, my mom had to work. And that meant that for those that were at home, they had to have a babysitter. And I was in school, so there were times when I had to walk my brother to my grandmother's house before I went to school. And she would babysit him, and then I would go to school. He would perform and do the moves and routine that everyone else was doing, but then all of a sudden, he would add a little bit of something in there different, catch you off guard. And that happened a lot of times when he had to perform before people, too. And that was him feeling what he was doing. And I noticed that, and then not only that, just him getting into his routines and studying on his routines and trying to perfect what he was doing. I noticed that it came very easy for him because he loved it so much. And that's when I started noticing, and I'm sure everyone else did, how that there was a little bit of a difference, quite a bit of a difference, I should say, with his performing and the others. He was always tap dancing all over the house. He would, you know what he would do? He would put on roller skates and skate around. This is so dangerous. Skate around the swimming pool to see how close he could come to it without going in. He would dance as he was doing it, and tap dancing too. Money that they would gather together from performing in the local.
So what do you think about that, reflection? Rebby Jackson seems to take fun of her youngest brother, Michael Jackson, and she noticed when he was growing up, even though he was a little mischievous, he got into some shit. Reflection. He was very talented. He was very talented. He stood out amongst his brothers. Okay, so with that, and he worked hard. He practiced hard as well. Reflection. Okay, practice makes perfection. So with that being said, reflection, you can tell that Rebby Jackson, she's like, listen, I don't have nothing bad to say about Michael, baby. I don't think I done heard her say nothing bad about Michael. Besides she didn't like, when he used to grab his little crotch and shit when he was, they said his what? His crotch area reflection. They said he was, you know what I'm saying. He was just in the mood. He was just listening. When you are a performer, reflection, I guess it just took over him. I don't know shit. But anyway, other than that, Rebby Jackson, she never has anything bad to say about Michael. And I like that about her, reflection. Okay. Now, Latoya, I haven't heard her really say anything bad about Michael. But as you can see, listen, reflection, I'm going to save it for a little bit later because them people
Area.
was on
He would take
Latoya
his money
head.
and
They weren't
save it. Marlon
playing
would
with
spend
Latoya.
his. And then Michael saved so much of his money, he wanted to have his own little candy store. So he'd go down to the corner store, he bought candy, and he sold it at the house, or he called himself selling it. But I have to tell you, something that was really funny about it is Marlon would sneak and eat his candy when he wasn't watching. He was upset. He'd cry and chew him out about doing it. That candy store meant everything to him. When I first heard it, I couldn't believe it, and it was sort of exciting, and I went, wow, that's them? And I had to get used to the song, because even though it was a very big hit, your brother singing on a record, on vinyl, and you hearing it is something totally different. But I thought it was great. I remember my mom didn't like it at first. She thought, I don't know, that kind of attitude. But then, of course, everybody grew to like it. But it was a lot of fun listening to it, and it was something that was unreal. I can't even express how I felt. He was very close to my mother, and she was like a comfort to him, I think. They spent a lot of time together, and at one point Michael was going through a stage where he had a serious acne problem, and it had gotten so bad that Michael was afraid to really look at people in the face and talk to them. I mean, when he talked to you, he'd look down, and my mother was sensitive toward that. I think because of her interest in wanting to help him, to give him the needed support that was necessary then, I think that caused a lot of the closeness. Because he was in the entertainment profession, and as many entertainers do, he wanted to look his best. He thought that definitely enhanced his features or his looks. And that's why I think he thought in the direction that he did. Oh, you can say that about just about every entertainer that's out there, or not every entertainer, but a great majority of them. They look fine, but they always think they can look better if they go and extend it another notch by having that done. So I guess it's what makes the person feel good themselves. When Michael was really
Okay, so basically what she was talking about right there was when they asked her how did she feel about Michael Jackson with his nose or whatever. But reflection, think about it now. It's no different. History literally repeats itself. It's no different than people going getting BBLs, and you get what I'm saying, reflection. Then after they get the BBL, then they gotta go get their hips and shit. After they get their hips, then they gotta get their legs and shit, the fat sucked out of their legs or some fat put in their legs to make the BBL. You get what I'm saying, reflection. Listen. Okay. So basically, this isn't anything new. Plastic surgery isn't anything new within Hollywood, okay? So, of course, we all know Michael Jackson received a lot of flack for his nose or whatever like that. Some people was like, "Listen, Michael, you was fine before you even listen." Listen, baby, you didn't even have to change nothing on the nose. I'm just trying to tell you, Michael, you was handsome. You was handsome, baby. It don't even matter. It didn't even matter. But at the same time, reflection, you have to think just because you think that these people are around people that criticize them, you get what I'm saying, day and night and day. Then you have people that are on the internet. I mean, the internet before it was the internet, shit, the paparazzi reflection, they would know better. Shit, they would talk about your ass too, put it on the front cover of every magazine that's in your local Dollar Tree. What I said, Dollar Tree, grocery store list, Dollar General, reflection, Target. I'm just saying. So it was no different, even though we think now, well, they didn't have the internet back then. Yeah, but they had papers, they had newspapers, they had magazines, they had articles, they had, you get what I'm saying, reflection? They still had that television. All right. So at the same time, agenda was pushed. So with that being said, I really liked listening to Rebby Jackson. I really like to hear her talk. I really like she actually was a performer as well. Reflection, go back and do some research into her. She was a great performer. All right. Very talented family. So with that being said, we're gonna
together.
wrap
He
this up and
was
then we're gonna go
the
into what
most
Latoya had to say.
wonderful, encouraging, innovative, and enlightening person you would ever want to meet. He was just very, as you said, loyal and pure. And I miss that more than anything else. He would make you feel so good. I remember one time I had to perform. I was performing in New York City, my first time by myself. Panicked because I had the flu. I was so sick. I couldn't even go, ah. And I called him, and he started laughing. He said, "You're going to be okay." I had to perform before CBS, all these people at the company. He said, "You'll be okay." He told me what to do to get my voice back. I was able to perform that night. But when I finished the number, I couldn't even talk. But what he told me, it really worked. And that being that he was always encouraging, knew what to say and how to say it. I know Michael had a lot of problems he was dealing with. And it's very difficult to even sit here and talk about him, really. It really is. But I feel that one thing is for sure, I think he's the greatest entertainer thus far that's ever lived. I really admired his talent, loved him very much. And when he was together, I think he was one of the warmest and most lovable persons you could ever meet. I really do think that. I think Michael's legacy is his music and his love for entertaining people. And when being together, you know, when he was focused, wanting to just help people and do what was right. There's so many people today, young people especially, that try to ascribe to learning about his talents and his musical ability, because he was outstanding, very talented when it came to that, with his producing and his dancing. And I think that's going to be the legacy.
There will never be another Michael Jackson. Let's say that one time for all the people in the back. They can come close. They can even you can get around the corner up the street, around the block, but there would never, ever, 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 ever be another Michael, baby. That would listen. I've seen some people try to, you get what I'm saying, imitate, but what is an imitation? Reflection? It ain't real. It's not the real deal, baby. Now that type of star, what I said, that type of star only fall down every so often. Every so often. Now hit the like and subscribe button. Now we finna get into Latoya. We finna get a little serious now, reflection. We finna get a little serious. Now, some people said, Latoya, you a fucking liar and you know better. You know better, Latoya. But reflection. Now, hold on. We gotta, even her sister Janet came out and said, Latoya, you a liar. You are a attention seeker. But before we get into what Janet Jackson had to say, let's let Latoya sound off. Let's let her tell her story, reflection now, because wasn't none of our ass there. Now, Janet was there. But we won that reflection, so how can we judge her? Let's listen to
Ever
her
since I can remember,
story.
actually, with my sister, because she's so much older than I am, and we slept in the same bed. So I recall him getting in the bed with us and doing the acts with her. And my mother would say sometimes, Joe, not tonight.
Your mother knew?
Oh, yes, my mother was very much aware of it. And then there were times when my sister couldn't take it anymore, and she would ask my mother to go get help for him, psychological help. And she refused to do that. And eventually my sister just decided that she wanted to leave home, that she could not deal with it anymore, so she left home.
You're talking about... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's my sister, Ruby.
Right.
And that's when he started sexually abusing me, when she left home.
But you were very young when it...
Okay, reflection. Now, this is where she's talking about Reby Jackson, the one who just left off the screen. She said allegedly that the father, Joe Jackson, was a little inappropriate reflection with Reby Jackson, the one who was just talking, and that's why she left home. Allegedly, Latoya said it. I wasn't even there, reflection. I wasn't even there.
Very young?
But we got to listen to her story because she was.
Very young, yes.
And how long did it go on?
It went on for a couple of years. It went on basically my entire life. I spoke to my mother about it a couple of years ago when I couldn't take it anymore. And I asked her for help. I said, Mother, I need help. Please help me. I just want to know one thing. Why is he doing this to me? Why did he do these things? And she answered me by saying, yes, your father did these things. He was sick at the time, but you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to mention it, and don't you ever mention it again. And I called her again. I said, but you don't understand. I need help. I need to know why. I need to know something. Please help me. Because you get to a point in your life where you can't cope anymore. You're thinking about it constantly. And I couldn't deal with it. And I kept reaching out for help because she was my best friend. So I turned to her for help. And she wouldn't do anything about it. And she kept saying, if you ever mention this to the public, I will deny it. And I will call you a liar. And they won't believe you.
Let me just ask you, because I had read a quote from your husband, manager, Jay. He said you were repeatedly raped. And that you're a very sad woman because of it. Is that a fair?
Well, at a young age, my father engaged in that with me. when I was much younger. As I got older, no, because he could go out and get any girl he wanted.
Right.
However, sexually, verbally, it continued. He would say terrible things to me if we were alone in the room. You know you want this.
Reflection, okay? Viewer discretion is advised. This could be a trigger warning. Latoya is over here talking about her father, Joseph Jackson. Reflection, we ain't talking about the one in the manger. She is over here telling her story. Now, she is making some serious allegations against him. Reflection. She said this went on ever since she was young, ever since she was a little tiny tot. Reflection. And she said she was not the only victim of this. She also alleges, now all this shit alleged, we just listened to her story. She is alleging that her sister,
And get
Rebby,
it. Things like
went through
that
the
he would
same
say to
thing.
me as I was older, but younger. Children don't have a lobby, so we can't say no, but as an adult, we have a choice to say yes or no. But even as an adult, I couldn't say no when he said things like that because my parents were so strict that we weren't allowed to really say no or anything. So I just had to listen to him talk to me like this, and I'll dare walk out the room. He'd grab me and beat me if I were to walk out the room while he's talking to me, so I just had to take these things from him.
How did it make you feel about yourself?
I had no self-esteem all my life. I felt dirty. I felt unclean. I felt guilty. I felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt like everybody out there knew, which in fact they couldn't have known because they weren't there. They weren't in the same bed with me and my father. But you just feel these things. I don't know if it's something that works on you mentally, emotionally, but you feel these terrible thoughts and you think them constantly. And it's a terrible feeling. And I just would continuously shake constantly, my entire body, and I couldn't control the shaking. I would have to put my hands down to stop the shaking all the time when I would think about what my father would do. But I kept it very quiet. It's something you don't discuss with other people, other members of the family, and I never did. Coming from a well-known family like I did, we were always in the media, and we had to smile and pretend like everything was okay, and that's exactly what we did. Even though it wasn't okay, it was terrible.
Have you forgiven your father?
My father, it's sort of a hard question to answer. When you say, have I forgiven him? I should probably answer you by saying that I blame my mother more than my father, because I think if any man who's sleeping with his daughter and the wife is standing there and she's part of my blood and he's not, and she allows him to do this to her daughter, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the man. How could she stay with him like that? This is her daughter. Leave him. Like my sister asked, leave him. Do something. Go somewhere. But she chose not to. She chose to stay right there and watch him do that. Why, I don't know. I'm sure there are a lot of reasons. Perhaps she would prefer to see him with the daughters than another lady on the street.
Hit the like and subscribe button. Reflection. Now, this is Latoya over here telling her story. Now, she is the next daughter up under Reby. Okay. Now, she made some allegations against Catherine, saying that Catherine knew. She went to Catherine for a little. You get what I'm saying? Letting her know. Listen. Leave his ass. We can pack our shit up tonight and we can be on that first train to Georgia. We can be on that first train to fucking Georgia. Reflection. But you get what I'm saying? Keep in mind, this was a different time. Reflection. This was a different time. And shit, Catherine had a lot of children. She had a lot of children that she would have had to pack up and put on that train to Georgia. That train to Georgia. Reflection. Even though we're not saying that's the excuse, but I'm just trying to, you get what I'm saying? Shit, I don't know. Reflection. We just trying to figure out what was going on. We just over here being nosy and shit, listening to Latoya's story. Now, keep in mind, Janet double backed on her ass. Little sister came back because, you know, it's Rebby, it's Latoya, and it's Janet. So
My
this
father
is what
did that
Janet
to me.
had
He
to
threw
say.
me in the bathroom, and he threw a book in the bathroom, and he slammed the door. And each one of my brothers and sisters would come in that bathroom and wash up for dinner, and not one of them spoke to me. They didn't say one word, like, how do you feel, how are you? Because they were so afraid.
Janet, though, doesn't remember it in the same way.
My parents were very strict, growing up, very strict. I mean, the stories that you've heard about abuse and all that, that's not true. And I know my sister has said lots of things and lots of lies about myself. That bothers me very much for her to say something like that. But I think, I'm not going to harp on this, but I think it's just a way of getting attention, the attention that she didn't get from the public, I know she's always, she's never really had the success that the rest of the family really has had, and now she's being acknowledged by the public because of this. And it's like, kind of like her claim to fame in a sense. But my
Mm. Damn, Janet. You sure know how to dress up a good read. Ooh, that kind of hit. Ooh, reflection. Let's play it back. Let's play
I'm
it
not going to
back.
harp on
Let's play
this,
it
but
back.
I think it's just a way of getting attention, the attention that she didn't get from the public. I know she's always, she's never really had the success that the rest of the family really has had, and now she's being acknowledged by the public because of this. And it's like, kind of like her claim to fame in a sense. But my parents, they never crossed the line. They were never too strict.
All right, reflection. So what do you think? Let's listen now. These ain't the only people that was finna bite off Latoya head. Jenna said she don't know what Latoya talking about. She said Latoya making all this shit up just to be famous. Just to be famous. Reflection.
You
What
have
do you
not lived
think?
in the same house with me. You do not know what goes on in my house. You have not been there. You don't know Michael from the man in the moon.
How can you sit there and sell out your own family? How can
I
you
am not
sell
selling
out?
out my
Listen,
family.
the reason why you're not going to say Michael is innocent, shall I tell you why? Because they haven't told you a big wage check. They haven't given you
Because they haven't what?
1,000,000. And if they said to you, Latoya, we'll give you $500,000 if you just say, yes, he's guilty. You'd say, he's guilty, he's guilty. Look at you, you're a sellout. You're a sellout to your
know
race.
what?
To your
all right,
family.
okay.
Your mum carried you for 9 months. You can't even give her that piece of
And you know what?
No
You're
one's
right.
perfect.
My mother
no
took
one's
care of
perfect,
you.
Toya.
I'll come to you. She carried me for 9 months.
Everyone.
My mother
You
carried me
sold
for
out
9 months, and she also let my father abuse me for that long too. She let him sexually abuse me, and that was very
You're
wrong.
not the first to be sexually abused. Nor will you be
And
the
that's
last,
why I
okay?
wrote the book to
Shall I-
stop it, to
no,
put an
shall I
end
tell
to
you
it.
something, Latoya Jackson?
You have no idea what
now
you're
shut
saying.
it. What do you
You
mean?
have no idea.
How
Okay,
could you know
What
about
you
my
are, you're an
life?
imbecile.
Okay, in view of that
You're simply an
outburst,
imbecile.
Latoya, in view of that
Sell out.
outburst,
Sell out
will
to
you
your race.
revise your response and say whether she's innocent or not? Whether he's innocent or not?
I cannot say whether he's guilty or whether he's innocent. It is not for me to say.
Girl, you weak as hell for that. Now, whatever, reflection, whatever,
In there.
whatever,
You don't know
Okay,
Michael from the
whatever.
man in the
Listen.
moon.
How can you sit there and sell out your own family? How can
I
you
am not
sell out?
selling out my
Listen,
family.
the reason why you're not going to say Michael is innocent, shall I tell you why? Because they haven't told you a big wage check. They haven't given you
Because they haven't what?
1,000,000. And if they said to you, Latoya, we'll give you $500,000 if you just say, yes, he's guilty. You'd say, he's guilty, he's guilty. Look at you, you're a sellout. You're a sellout to your
You know
race.
what?
Okay,
To your
all right,
family.
okay.
Your mum carried you for
Okay.
9 months. You can't even give her
Sister.
that piece of
And you know what?
No
You're
one's
right.
perfect.
My mother
no
took
one's
care of
you.
perfect,
Kindly,
Toya.
I'll come to
She
you.
carried me
You
for 9
sold out
months.
everyone.
My mother
You
carried me
sold
for
out
9 months, and
everyone.
she also let my father abuse me for that long too. She let him sexually abuse me, and that was very
You're
wrong.
not the first to be sexually abused. Nor will you be
And
the
that's
last,
why I
okay?
wrote the book
And shall
to
I-
stop
no,
it, to
no,
put an
shall I
end
tell
to
you
it.
something, Latoya Jackson?
You have no idea what
now
you're
shut
saying.
it. What do you
You
mean?
have no idea.
How
Okay,
could you know
What
okay.
you are, you're an imbecile.
Okay, in view of that
You're simply
outburst,
an imbecile.
Latoya, in view of that
Sell out.
outburst,
Sell out
will
to
you
your race.
revise your response and say whether she's innocent or not? Whether he's innocent or not?
I cannot say whether he's guilty or whether he's innocent. It is not for me to say.
Whoo, child, listen, take her ass off the stage for the end part. Listen, you should have just said no fucking response. Listen, whatever. Reflection, listen, whatever. But anyway, this is what the audience, you see the audience, they was on Latoya ass now. They said, Latoya, you're a fucking liar. Not only that you a sellout, you up here trying to get some fame and shit. You up here getting fame and shit, but keep in mind, reflection, a lot of the family, they had some stuff to say about Joe Jackson, maybe not to that degree, but they did say he
You
was
never
very
called
strict.
your dad. You always called him
Joseph.
Joseph. He didn't want anybody to call him dad. Why?
Well, he said to me, you know, I never asked why, and I just left it as it is. It's like you don't. When our parents tell us something, you don't question it. But you understand what I'm saying? Yes, you just, it is what it is, and you leave it alone.
Right.
Because if you don't leave it alone,
Okay, so she basically said, listen, I don't know what y'all do in y'all household, but in the Jackson family household, baby, where they cook collard greens, yams, potatoes, eggs, all that shit, bacon, all that reflection. They cooking spam and ham and this. I don't know, because they Jehovah Witness. They may not be eating that swine. They may not be eating that swine reflection. Okay, my bad. Let me take out that the bacon and shit. The bacon, all right. They may was eating eggs and grits and toast and shit like that, all right, because they wasn't lacking no meals around now. Okay, they may only had 2 bedrooms and it was 12 of their ass. But listen, Catherine said she was in the list and she was putting it down. She was putting it down, baby. They didn't miss. They didn't know they didn't have much. They didn't know they didn't have much shit. Okay, and it ain't about where you start; it's about how you end. So, with that being said, reflection. A lot of people, they did wonder that. They was like, well, why all of them call him Joseph? Why all of them call him Joseph? But it was because that's what they wanted him to
He
call
hit
him,
me, I would
reflection.
hit him back, which was terrible. And I would run around the house and hide and all that stuff. But I would really get it more than anybody.
Do you think your father was too strict?
Yes. No, he's gonna kill me.
He's gonna get you still worried about that. Well, he feels that he was strict.
I'm glad he said it. Now I'll say it, yes. Did he?
So what do you think about their reflection? They said, shit, at your age, you still worried about what he thinking. You can see that Joseph, he played Joseph, he ain't play no games, reflection. He put his mark in. He was a very stern father. Now some people was like, shit, they need some of that with these YNs today, baby. They need some stern fathers out there, because we see right now they are declining, reflection. They declining. But with that being said, what do y'all think about all this? What do y'all think about the allegations that Latoya made against her father, shit, and her mother? And what do you think about Janet coming out and saying she just a clout chaser? She just up here trying to get her little 2 seconds of fame, reflection. What do you think? Or do you think that they was just trying to single her voice out? What do you think about all this? Okay, now we all, as every family, they all had a little secrets, reflection. So the Jackson, they were no different. Okay, so we're just over here listening. We not over here judging. We just trying to figure out you get what I'm saying? Trying to see what's going on. We done went back in history and shit, reflection. Did y'all know about this? All right, so with that being said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button. I wasn't gonna keep y'all over here too long, but I had to give you that TT. I had to give you that TT because you over here with Sarabia. Until next time, Ajay.